What's up, guys? Ram Beer here, Fitness for Quidditch. And a couple of questions about warm-ups and what's a proper warm-up before, actually starting Quidditch practice. So I put together a little cheat sheet. I'll upload this in the comments as well. But it's very, very simple. And there's a few things that you want to make sure that you hit before you just jump right in and start practicing. This is the reason why so many people get injured, is because their body isn't prepared to start doing the activities that you're going to be doing, right? If I'm cutting and I'm making sharp cuts and I'm moving, I'm all over the place, my body needs to be ready to do that. It's like, you gotta think of it like a pilot in an airplane. There's a certain sequence of switches and things systems that have to be turned on before the plane can take off. So your body's the same way. I can't just, especially when we're younger, we just do this. Like we just jump in and we start playing and it's not a big deal. But even that, you can save yourself a lot of injuries, a lot of aches and pains if you warm up correctly. So real quick, real short, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. And I'm just gonna give you some simple guidelines that you can follow. And then at the end, I got some bonus things that you can throw in if you'd like. So first one is just getting your heart rate up, right? So before you start doing anything, we need to get our body temperature up. We need to get our heart rate up. The muscles need to be warm. So now we can start doing everything, right? Because if you, and this is super important as well, I tell people to warm up, and the first thing that they'll do is they'll start, like if I have them warm up on the row machine or whatever, or I say, hey, go for a jog, and then we'll get into it. They go 100%, and they come back and they're all out of breath, or I'm like, hey, this is a warm up. We are preparing ourselves, right? So big thing, all of the warm up activities are going to be pretty chill. So this first part, getting your heart rate up, getting your body warm, getting your temperature up, is going to be about 50 to 70%, okay, effort. So you should not be going crazy. For this, you can use any cardiovascular activity. That just means you could go for a jog. You can, if you're got a treadmill, go for a light treadmill. If a bike, whatever it is, you can use a jump rope. You could just run some light laps around the field, right? Very, very simple, very, very chill. And I want to emphasize that again, okay? Do not go crazy here. Part two, warming up the joints. So all you need to know about joints is that joints love circles, okay? So I'm gonna go head all the way down to my feet, and I'm gonna make circles with all my joints. I wanna make sure that every part of my body is moving. So, from your neck to the top part of your spine, to your shoulders, okay? These things look very, very simple, but these are very, very important. And remember, the simpler the thing, the more effective it is most of the time. And you don't need to be doing any complicated things. Your hands, your fingers, all those joints, right? Making figure eights, circles, and then this part of the spine, all right? Hips, even the knees, right? And then, very important, your feet, okay? So hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Making circles with my feet, stretching the outside, the inside, the top, and the bottom. So that'll be my second portion. And that doesn't need to take any more than maybe, a minute to 2 or 3 minutes, depending on how you feel, right? If you feel like everything is warm, and when things feel good. Then we got the dynamic warm-up. This is where we start to increase our intensity a little bit. And this is gonna be anywhere between 50 and 70% again. We're still not going crazy. And here's where you can do a bunch of things where you're moving and stretching. So we don't wanna do static stretching before we start playing a game or a practice. or even when we're lifting. We don't want to do static stretching before a lift, okay? And we'll talk about that at another time, why you don't want to do that. But, so some simple things, you know, you can do some skips back and forth on the field. So skips, you know, very simple, just like that. Nice and relaxed. This is where you do your high knees, right? Butt kickers. Sprint steps. This is where you're working on form, you're working on technique, and you're starting to increase the intensity a little bit, right? Another favorite one of mine is jumping jacks, right? All kinds of jumping jacks, seal claps, fling jumps, feet and hands crisscrossing. So, in fact, you probably want to do all of these, you know, a few trips back and forth with any of these things. But jumping jacks, the reason these are so amazing is because they're warming up the 4 most important joints in your body. Your shoulders, your 2 shoulders, and your 2 hips. So you're hitting major players with one movement, right? And you're getting your heart rate up, you're moving, right? So very important. Other stuff you could do is if you are going to be doing some stretching, it should not be static stretching. You can do walking or active stretching, right? Dynamic stretching. So such as walking quad stretch or a walking glute stretch, walking hamstrings where you're getting that leg swing going, right? Side to side. Helps if you hold on to something. Now, when you do all of these things, I want to make sure that I'm under control. So, for example, if I'm doing a walking glute stretch and it looks like this is not good. This is an opportunity. The warm-up shouldn't be a throwaway. It's an opportunity to get better physically, right? So I want to make, and this goes for all your lifts, everything you do, I want to make sure it looks pretty. That's the simplest way to make improvements in your health, is to make everything you do look really nice. So for example, if I'm doing my walking glute bridges, I want it to look like this. Every step is controlled, right? I'm balanced on every step. Now, not only am I getting warmed up for this practice or this game, but I'm also developing relative body weight strength, okay? Which is your ability to move your body through space, which is, if you can't do that, you're gonna have injuries, you're gonna have aches and pains, it's gonna be a problem, right? So this is also, you know, you could throw in lunge and rotates. So here, lunging, rotating while you're moving. You could do lateral lunges here. I like to just kind of stay in place. And I think most people are better off starting with that, because if you're trying to walk and lunge, that's a little bit of a tougher movement. So stay in place and do that. You can do walking hamstring stretches. You're not forcing anything. You're just going to where it feels comfortable and making sure it's controlled, right? Then you can do animal crawls. Animal crawls are one of my favorites, and I'll actually throw in, or I will make a separate video for that completely, but you know, bear crawls, any type of crawl actually is fantastic for building health and strength, and just general mobility and movement. All kinds of those are amazing things, and I'll actually make a video of all the different crawls that you can do. Tiger crawls, spider crawls, sidewinders. There's a lot of different things, and they're actually pretty intense in terms of, like, it takes a lot of strength to build up and make those look really nice and really pretty, right? So that would be your dynamic warm-up. Then we want to go into, so the next section that we're going to turn on in, you know, in terms of that analogy of your turning on the systems in an airplane, is your power and your activation, right? So now, by this point, Our heart rate should be up. Our body should be much warmer. Our temperature is up. Okay, the joints are nice and lubricated and ready. Okay, we got good blood flow everywhere. So now we can start doing some power and activation stuff. With the power stuff, very simple. Okay, if you have a medicine ball, this is where you can use a medicine ball. And I like to do this very simply. I'll do 3 rounds of 5 reps of either a medicine ball slam or a jump, and then some type of bridge exercise, about 5 or 6 reps. So 5 reps, 3 times through, nice and chill. Again, I'm not going 100%, right? I want to be about 70-80% when I do this. So for example, if I don't have a medicine ball, if I did have a medicine ball, I would just be trying to go as fast as possible, slamming that medicine ball. If you're going to be outdoors, this is a lot of fun. You can do throws, right? You're trying to throw it as far as possible. 70-80%. What this does is it starts to turn on all the strength in all the muscles, right? So this is like the sciencey side of things, and you don't really need to worry about that. Just know that if you do some type of power thing, right, which is just you trying to move quickly, it will make your workout a lot more effective, right? So for example, let's say I'm just going to do jumps. So I'm going to do 5 jumps, and I could just do it standing in place. I'm not trying to jump through the roof. I'm trying to land under control. And then I'll follow that with 5 glute bridges. Because now I've turned everything on. Now I want to lock it in. This is core strength right here. I hear a lot of people talking about core strength. This is where it's at. Bridging, planks, all these types of things. So you can use any type of bridge or plank you want. I'm just going to show you a couple of my favorites. So you got the standard bridge here. Squeezing your glutes, eyes looking through your knees, chin on your chest. Right? You can do the 1 leg variation. Right? Another really good one is the hip and core version. So I straighten out 1 leg, okay? My hips are off the ground. This knee pulls that way, and I rotate in the opposite direction. Okay, so I'll do 6 reps of those. You can also do crab bridges here, squeezing your glutes. That one's also really good to open up the chest and start working on the muscles up in here, which are often neglected, right? So you got that. Then now we get into your sport-specific warm-up stuff, okay? So this is where now you can start running some drills. So, throwing and passing drills. Throwing and catching drills. This is very important. If you're not doing those, you're not getting any better. Like, hand-eye coordination is extremely important, right? And the way to get better at it is to just do more of it. A lot of people I see, they're like, oh, I can't throw or I can't catch. That's because you haven't done it, right? Anybody can improve throwing and catching if you practice it. And that goes for everything. So, this is where now you can do those types of drills. Other drills that I would recommend is now you can do footwork drills. Now this is where you can throw in a ladder if you have a ladder, right? Lots of good footwork drills to do with the ladder. We'll make another video on that. You can run some plays, 60-70%. Just start getting that timing down. Start getting your plays down. Another great thing is doing, fast break drills or moving up and down the field, and by this point, you should be nice and ready to run a full practice, right? So all in all, this should take you about anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how quickly you get through it, how much, if you want to spend a little bit more time on something, right? It's very, very individual, as always, as everything should be. And yeah, now a couple of things, bonus things that I would recommend. So this is exactly what I carry in my bag. It takes up no space, and in fact, when I'm traveling, this comes in hand quite a bit in hand, because you might not have access to a gym or a lot of space to keep your training up, right? So some very simple things in here that I use a lot. Part of your activation drills, I like to do air squats with the band around my knee. Purpose of that is this turns on and strengthens all of these muscles in the side of the hip and the glutes. A lot of knee injuries, a lot of ankle injuries, a lot of shin things going on. It all starts from here, right? And this is very neglected for most people since we're sitting down most of the time. So for example, just a couple of these. You know, I got my regular squats here. It's right below the knee. Good form. Then I have, you know, walks with this. I want to turn my toes in, and I'm going to just walk side to side. I should really feel this on the side of the hip. I can also walk diagonally forward, as controlled as I can make this. So that's a really, really important one. It's about $7 on Amazon. This goes with me everywhere. Then I got another band. This band is super, super key. You can literally do any movement, any exercise that you would with a barbell or a dumbbell with the bands, and it's great to getting blood flow into that area, right? So I might do some upper body things such as band pull aparts, right? Up top. From here, I would go into some simple things with the upper body. I got presses, and my form is exactly the same as I would be doing with a barbell or a dumbbell, right? And I'll get some front raises. I'll get some curls, right? And then I'll get some upright rows. And some pushing stuff, right? So some pressing going forward and some flies coming in. When you go through that, your upper body is going to be very, very nice and warm and ready to do whatever you're going to do. You can also do lower body stuff with this. Get my hamstrings warmed up a little bit here, right? Doing some deadlifts. I could do Romanian deadlifts. I could do lunges here, right? Lots of options. If you need to warm up the low back, you can do good mornings. Band goes here. So another great tool to have in your bag for practices and games. And that's another thing is I would make sure I use the same warm-up for games and practices. You want to get in as much of a routine as possible when you're playing a sport, right? You want to, I always go back to basketball examples because that's what I grew up on. That was my sport from age 6 all the way through college. And like, if I'm shooting a free throw or I'm getting ready for a game, I had the same exact setup every single time. My free throw was the same, whether it was the first shot in the game, whether it was a game-winning free throw, whether it was practice, right? It was always the same. 1, 2, 3, spin, shot. You want to develop that routine, right? This, $12 on Amazon. This is such an underutilized tool. You want to strengthen your feet, your ankles. You want to strengthen your legs. You want to strengthen your upper body. You want to get in better shape. You need this, right? 12 bucks on Amazon. So many things, and you can include this as the first step of your warm-up where you're getting your heart rate up. It's a great tool, right? So all kinds of things that you can do here. Obviously, it will also improve your footwork. So all you guys, all you girls who are wanting to get better at moving, you know, your cuts, your change of direction, your agility, that's a very important tool in that. You might be wondering why I got these guys here. These are some tools that I always have in my bag because, you know, being strong and being healthy is not just about lifting weights. It's not about cardio. It's not about just those types of things. It's also about hand-eye coordination. It's also about being able to react. It's also about, you know, your feet, knowing where your feet are, being able to move, right? It's also all of those things, your vision, right? So I always have these in there in my bag, and if you're playing Quidditch, I mean, I would recommend, if you're not working on hand-eye coordination, you should start. And a very simple one, you know, people might laugh at this, but learning how to juggle is a great way to do that. And by the way, I couldn't juggle before ever in my life. 4 days of like maybe 10 minutes at a time, and then I could juggle. So great if you want to get better. If you're having trouble holding on to things, catching things, or accuracy, you want to do something like this, right? So that's it. That's my bag of warm-up goodies, and a very simple warm-up. Like I said, I'll put the little simplified checklist at the bottom of this, so you can take that with you. You don't have to watch this whole video, all right? If this was helpful for you, go ahead and like, comment, and share. Give this to your Quidditch buddies, anybody else who's playing, who doesn't have an idea. Especially give this to those people who never warm up. You need to be warming up.